Hey guys, it's Tim with another Tilt Shift Quick Take, and this time I'm going to be talking about How to Train Your Dragon, the live action version. And if you are a fan of the show, if you watched season 3 at all, you know that we covered the original, the animated version of How to Train Your Dragon during season 3, and you know that movie is my all-time favorite animated film. There's so much that I like about it, and there's very few flaws, which we did talk about those in that episode. So if you want to see what those are, go back and check out the episode in season 3 on How to Train Your Dragon. The live action version is a very faithful remake of the original. There's a lot of people are calling it like a shot for shot, scene for scene, line for line remake. That's a bit of an overstatement. There are some minor tweaks here and there. Some that I really liked, little additions that add depth to the characters, some little comedic elements that they skipped over. That I was like, I would have liked to have seen that, but I get why they did it. It has the same director as the original, so the same sort of, which I think really helped keep it faithful to the original, because he had such a great love for the original already. He wanted to make sure he maintained that it wasn't somebody coming in giving their own take where they want to try to improve things. It kind of follows the old motto, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And also you have the same, the person who voiced Stoic, the chief, is actually acting as Stoic in this film. So I think that continuity really helped in that way. I mentioned that it's not quite shot for shot or line for line, as a lot of reviewers are saying. There are some little subtle differences, and sometimes one of the additions I really liked, there's a scene in the original where Stoic is in anger, yells at Hiccup, his son, and tells him, you've sided with the dragons, and then he says, "You're not my son," and he walks out the door and slams the door. And then in the animated, the scene stays with Hiccup. In the live action, it cuts to Stoic outside the door, and you can see this moment of regret, like, I can't believe I just said that to my own kid. So it helps deepen his character. You understand that there is this, he has a great love for his son, even though he's so frustrated by him. He's not living up to what Stoic thinks he should be. So I don't, if you've seen the original movie, you already know the storyline. There's just little elements like that get added that I really appreciated. I've got to admit, I was nervous when I saw that they were going to do this, because so many of the other remakes, especially the Disney remakes, have not been faithful to the original. Sometimes there's little changes. Lately, it seems like they're making more and more changes. I recently saw a Snow White remake. We'll save my comments on that for another time. That was nowhere. That was a disaster in many ways, but. I was very thrilled to see how faithful this was to the original. There's minor changes. Burke is ethnically more diverse. They do have a couple of lines early on that kind of explain why that is, and it works in this story, in this world of theirs. So it doesn't really detract from the story like some people thought that it was going to, or said they have. I would say that this one loses a little bit of the charm of the original, which I think is inevitable because it's not animated. So the things aren't going to be quite as cute and whimsical as the original. Like the dragon design in the original is very whimsical. In this, what it lacks in the charm, it makes up for in the action and in the emotion, because now you're seeing real people on the screen doing, who are acting these things out, and there's much more at stake. So the action sequences seem to be amped up even more. The CGI dragons are phenomenal. They look so real. They look as good, if not better, than anything that we've seen in the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies, which is pretty interesting, because now it helps them, like when you see a real actor standing next to the CGI character, this creature, you realize how big they really are and how terrifying they would be. They're also, because now they're meant to look real, they are not whimsical like they were in the first one, in the original. So that means that even though they have a similar design, and you can tell what they are and what they're supposed to represent, they are, I would say, more frightening. They're more realistic. So because of that, I would maybe give a little bit of caution if you're thinking about taking a younger kid, that maybe the animated one would be very suitable for, but now it might be maybe a little bit questionable. So just be on the lookout for that. Just like the original, a lot of the same themes. You get this parenting element, this father-son relationship that's been fractured. It's awkward. They don't know how to talk to each other because they're both they're so different, and the film does such a great job of working through that by the end of the film, and seeing that relationship healed, and seeing the father come to appreciate who his son is, and the son recognizing the difficulties the father faces, and of course he learns more about that in the sequels. So this one, of course, you have that as well. It was really cool to see on Father's Day, that was how I chose to celebrate Father's Day. Also, like the original, you have this Hiccup is searching for his place in the world. He's different. He's searching for his identity. What is he supposed to be? He wants to be a Viking. He wants to be this big, burly, brawny character who can beat up dragons and kill a dragon just with his bare hands, but that's not who he is. That's not what he's made to be. He uses his brains instead of his brawn, and he's an outcast in the village, and yet by using the skill, by being so determined to do what he learns is the right thing to do, he ends up saving the village, and people come to respect him for who he is, and for the talents and skills, the abilities that he's got. And there's also an element of like prejudice, or this blind hatred. And we talked about this in our analysis of the other one. In this case, it's like people and dragons, they just have this blind hatred toward dragons. They're going to try to kill the dragons because the dragons keep coming and stealing their food. But if you look at that from a personal level, person to person, a lot of times if we don't understand who the other people are, what the other group is like, it's easy for us to caricature them. It's easier for us to have prejudices because we don't really understand them. And yet, when you take the time to get to know other people, you realize this is somebody who's made in the image of God. They have a lot of the same fears, the same doubts, the same goals, the same desires, the same insecurities. They're very similar to us in so many different ways, and most importantly, they are made in the image of God. So we need to love our fellow image bearers, even those that are lost in sin, and we need to take every opportunity we can to share the love of Christ with them, and share the gospel of Christ with them, that he died on the cross for them as well. And we shouldn't view other people as the enemy. We should be viewing them as lost people in need of the Savior. Obviously, How to Train Your Dragon is not pushing that message, but there is an element of this blind hatred toward another group. In this case, it's human to dragon, and vice versa, that once they come to understand each other, there's a reconciliation there. So anyways, I could go on and on and on. I truly enjoyed the live action remake. A lot of people are saying, why would they even do it? It was done extremely well, and it hit all the right notes. The acting, the kid who plays Hiccup does a fantastic job. He doesn't have the same squeaky voice as Hiccup in the animated, voiced by Jay Baruchel. But you can't have everything, okay? Anyways, if you choose to see it, be aware there are still some of those problems that we highlighted in our analysis of it. And anyways, that's why we always say here at Tilt Shift to watch what you watch.